January 4th, 2022, 1 a.m. A security
1
camera
a.m.?
mounted above the front entrance captured a chilling moment that would haunt investigators for years to come. A young man entered his apartment.
Hold
with
on,
another
that's his
person,
real. Hold
a
on, stop,
17-year-old
pause.
girl.
Goddammit. That's his real name,
Come.
Jalen Brazier. Why he making that face? It's something about him we don't know about.
What?
His name is Jalen Brazier. Look at the face he's making.
A young man entered his apartment with another person, a 17-year-old girl, his favorite cousin, the girl who trusted him completely. Later, the footage showed him backing his white sedan into the driveway, carefully, methodically, the trunk now facing away from the street, hidden from view. Minutes passed. Then, the car drove away into the darkness. When it returned, less than 10 minutes later, the trunk was empty. But the girl who had entered that house that night, she never left.
Oh,
Not through the front door, not through any door. And what the cameras didn't capture, what happened inside those walls during those
They say that's his
crucial hours
cousin,
would
though.
become the center of
What
one of
the hell?
Detroit's most disturbing murder cases. A case where the truth was buried not only in a landfill, but beneath layers of lies from someone who was supposed to protect her. Because sometimes, the person you trust most is the one who means you the greatest harm. Sierra Milton woke up.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm scared. See, when these videos start coming on and they got the dark music with the crime guy voice in the back, I get scared, folks. It feel like I'm on an episode of Snapped. Do your homework on Snap.
On the morning of January 5th, 2022, with a gnawing feeling in her gut.
Why would he kill his
Her eldest
cousin,
daughter,
though?
Zion Foster, hadn't come home the night before. The 17-year-old's bed sat empty, untouched.
17.
For most mothers, this might trigger immediate panic. But Sierra knew her daughter's history. Zion was a high school senior at East Detroit High School, bright, spirited, and admittedly rebellious. Just months earlier, she'd celebrated her 17th birthday in November. Like many teenagers testing boundaries, she'd threatened to run away before. Twice the previous year, frustrated with her mother's rules, she'd actually done it. The first time, 16-year-old Zion fled to her grandmother's house. Convinced to return, she stayed only days before leaving again, prompting Sierra to call the police. But both incidents proved to be false alarms. The teenager was struggling. Her grandmother's recent cancer diagnosis weighed heavily on her. Independence called to her like a siren song. But this morning felt different. Zion had worked her serving shift at the Detroit Wing Company the night before. She'd come home. She'd asked permission to go out afterward. And here's the thing she'd been honest about, where she was going and who she'd be with. Her favorite cousin, Jalen. Sierra trusted him. She'd watched Zion leave with him at least twice a month for the past year. She'd greeted Jalen herself in the driveway when he picked her daughter up. Sierra had agreed.
He looked weird. Every time some of these weird-ass stories come out, before you start, you show me the pictures of these niggas, and they look fucking weird. He looks like this nigga look weird, gang. I'm not like you then.
Greeted Jalen herself in the driveway when he picked her daughter up. Sierra had agreed. She watched Zion walk out the door shortly before 11 p.m. That was the last time she saw her daughter alive. The text message came from Vertez Gonzalez, Zion's boyfriend and fellow high schooler. Had Sierra heard from Zion? Because he couldn't reach her anymore. The last message he'd received came at midnight, 3 simple letters that now haunt everyone involved. On my way. On my way. But Zion never made it home. Calls went straight to voicemail. Messages throughout the night.
Is that his weird ass?
Trapped in digital limbo. Finally, at 8 a.m., Vertez sent a message that captured his growing dread. Are you alive? Followed by,
oh shit,
this is the worst thing ever. Sierra immediately reached out to Jalen Brazier. If anyone knew where Zion was, it would be him. They were close, practically inseparable, or so she thought. Jalen's response stopped her cold. He hadn't seen Zion. In fact, he claimed he hadn't seen or spoken to his cousin in years. 3 years, to be exact. Sierra's mind reeled. How could that be possible when Jalen had been in her driveway just weeks ago? When she'd watched her daughter leave with him twice a month, when Zion specifically told her she was spending time with her favorite cousin? Jalen pressed her. How often had Zion claimed to be with him? Once or twice a month, Sierra confirmed. His response came laced with frustration. Zion's lies about him were sneaky as hell and not safe, he said. She must have been using him as cover, spending time with someone else who lived near his house. He even offered evidence. Zion shared her location with boyfriend Vertez, a fact born from his admitted insecurity about their relationship. That location data placed her across the street from Jalen's home at 11:24 p.m. on January 4th. Vertez, ever vigilant, had screenshot his girlfriend's location at that exact time, so Jalen's theory seemed plausible. Maybe Zion was seeing someone else on his street. Maybe she was using his name as an alibi.
Zion, everybody keep a scope. Zion is the girl. I know that usually sound like a boy name. Zion is the girl, and I think Jalen Brazier, whatever the fuck, is supposed to be her cousin. And this other nigga is like her little boyfriend or whatever.
It was a complete lie. East Point police weren't exactly rushing to help. Sierra's missing person report met bureaucratic indifference. Her daughter had a history of running away, they reminded her bluntly. The officer handling the case didn't mince words. I'm going to be honest with you. We're taking this as she's a runaway. Receiving little support from law enforcement, Sierra took matters into her own hands. Family and friends rallied. They posted flyers across Detroit. They held rallies. They spoke to anyone who would listen. The media picked up the
This shit like a worst nightmare.
We need your eyes, Sierra pleaded to cameras. The police need your help. Meanwhile, officers eventually made their way to Jalen Brazier's home. They found him there with his longtime girlfriend, Katrina Smith. The 23-year-old father of two young boys, ages 1 and 2, seemed cooperative. He invited officers inside to look around. His story remained consistent. He hadn't seen his cousin in nearly a year since May 2021, he claimed.
Damn.
It was Zion's mother and her boyfriend
so who lied?
Seemed fixated on this idea that she'd been with him. He'd even offered to show Sierra his Ring camera footage to prove Zion was never there. When Sierra examined the footage, she noticed something. Gaps. Missing entries for the night of January 4th.
Hold on, y'all. This is my clothing brand. I need y'all to go support your boy, okay? And supporting your boy with some pretty cheap clothing, all right? And you're going to be fly and fresh as hell, man, all right? Link in the description. They.us. Go shop.
Obviously deleted.
Obviously deleted, right.
Found nothing suspicious in their search. No signs Zion had been there. They listened while Jalen explained his frustrations over being dragged into drama caused by a 17-year-old cousin he rarely saw anymore. She's known to be a runaway, he told officers, his voice rising with apparent exasperation. Like, she's run away 4 times. Every time she's at some dude's house. Her mom knows this. Her mom's just playing it a certain way, and it's making me so uncomfortable. The officers left, seemingly satisfied. But Sierra Milton knew better. She'd seen Jalen.
I ain't gonna lie though, bro. If you tell me, I don't believe in coincidences, but I'm also not fucking stupid. So if you tell me that you haven't seen my daughter in years, but my daughter has been saying she's been hanging out with you, to my knowledge, and then the mama said that she's seen you in the fucking driveway, the night, but like, you know what I'm saying? And then I come to your house and I'm like, so you trying to say you ain't seen my daughter? You like, nah. Do you want to see my Ring camera footage? And I'm like, yeah. And then I go to your Ring camera footage, and you just so happen ain't got no footage from the night that that the little girl disappeared. Oh, okay, brother.
Stop it.
What?
Get some help.
Every other day you got on the Ring camera footage, day, morning, noon, and night from the grave. You got morning, noon, and night for every day before and after the little girl went missing. But the day that she went missing, you just ain't got no footage. Okay.
Her driveway. She'd hugged him. She knew he was lying. The question was why. Sometimes the simplest solution cracks a case wide open. If Zion's location data placed her across from Jalen's house, why not check the neighbor's doorbell cameras? The footage told a story Jalen desperately wanted to hide. At approximately 11:15 p.m. on January 4th, a white sedan, the car known to be driven by Jalen Brazier, pulled into his driveway.
Right.
2 individuals emerged, clearly visible walking into the house.
Right.
1 male, 1 female. Now, Jalen had driven his girlfriend Katrina to work just before 11 p.m. that night. She worked the midnight shift at a manufacturing job 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
So it ain't her.
The second individual entering the house at 11:15 couldn't have been Katrina. Phone location data confirmed what the camera revealed. The 2 people entering Jalen's home that night were Jalen Brazier and Zion Foster. The camera never showed Zion leaving. But at 1 a.m., that same camera captured something chilling. Jalen's car pulled out of the driveway, then backed in. The trunk now faced the backyard, hidden from view.
So he was parked. And the camera got him backing up, turning around, and then backing into the driveway. For what reason, bro? What you got
After
going
a few
on?
minutes,
Why
the
would you
car
do that?
drove off. It returned less than 10 minutes later.
Only reason you would do that is to load something in the trunk. That's the only fucking reason in the world of Christ that you would ever leave your driveway, turn around in the middle of the neighborhood street, and then back your car up.
FBI, open up!
Search warrants came swiftly. Inside the house, nothing. The car's contents were carefully itemized and examined, but there was no clear evidence of what happened to Zion. That is, until law enforcement brought in the canine units. The dogs indicated clearly at the trunk of Jalen's car. The unmistakable scent of death lingered there. On January 19th, accompanied by a friend who happened to be a lawyer, Jalen voluntarily sat down with detectives. The evidence against him had become overwhelming. It was time, his lawyer must have advised, to get ahead of the narrative. Jalen offered what he claimed was the truthful version of events from that night. Yes, he'd picked up Zion from her home. Yes, he'd brought her back to his place. He put his 2 young children to bed, then joined Zion downstairs in the living room. They talked about normal teenage things, her improving relationship with her mother, her boyfriend, plans for prom, her job, dreams of getting her own apartment. They used some recreational substances together, he said. Then Zion got
Smoke a little
her
loud.
head tilted back as she appeared to nap while sitting upright on the couch. He went into the other room to pour himself a drink. When he returned 15 to 20 minutes later, something was wrong. Her pulse was faint, he claimed. Then her heartbeat became non-existent. His young cousin had simply died on his couch, just like that. Instead of calling 911...
Don't this sound very similar to the whole Lil David situation for everybody that know about it? You know what I mean? Very similar. Only difference is instead of this young ass girlfriend, it's his cousin. Okay, because God forbid, God, please understand, I'm just using this as an example. I don't want to speak these things into existence. But if my cousin come to my house, my little cousin, I don't give a fuck, male, female, my little cousin comes to my house. We smoking. I'm smoking in the living room with my little cousin. I leave for 10, 15 minutes. I come back. My little cousin look like he or she halfway fucking dead. I check my little cousin pulse and it's faint than a motherfucker. The first thing I'm going to do, 911. You see what I'm saying? 911, please come help me. My little cousin, I don't know what's wrong with it, please. I'm not going, under no fucking human circumstances on God green earth would I ever, my little cousin, my best friend, my homie, the little nigga from up the block, I don't give a fuck who you is. I'm not going to put your dead body in a trunk and take your dead body somewhere else to try to hide the fact that you died. If something else is going, unless I can't, what other reason do you have to take somebody's dead body? You're already sick in the head, bro. If you ask me, if you chose to put this dead body up, put this dead body in the motherfucking trunk and take this dead body wherever you took this dead body, instead of simply calling the police, and you try to tell me that you was scared that they was gonna think you did it, you're a psychopath, bro. Because nobody in their right mind would pick up somebody's dead body and transport the motherfucker anywhere unless you killed them or unless you trying to save them. That's the only two things. Now, if you would have picked this motherfucker body up, put ass in the back and drove to the hospital while you on the phone with 911, makes sense to me, brother. But it's some freaky weird shit going on, bro. It's something about you we don't know about, boy.
Jalen said he panicked, not knowing how she died. He feared it would appear as though he'd killed her. So he made a choice that would haunt this case. I put her in my trunk, he told detectives, his voice steady and matter-of-fact, and I took her to Highland Park and put her inside of a trash receptacle.
What the fuck?
Detectives pressed him. How did he know Zion was actually dead? According to his story, the 17-year-old had inexplicably and abruptly stopped breathing. But was she truly gone? She wasn't breathing, Jalen insisted. Her heartbeat was like I couldn't read a heartbeat, couldn't feel a heartbeat or anything, so I would say she was dead, definitely. The timeline matched disturbingly well with other evidence. Jalen claimed Zion had been at his home for roughly 2 hours before she died, placing her time of death just past 1 a.m. Cell phone records showed her device dropped off the network at exactly 1 a.m., the same moment she stopped responding to messages from Vertez. Jalen also claimed he hadn't deleted any data from his phone since that night, but investigators discovered he'd performed a full factory reset just 2 days later, effectively wiping everything from his device. Still, the movements of his phone could be pieced together through cell tower data. This placed Jalen at the dumpsters in Highland Park at 1 a.m.
You're fucking insane, bro. So you're trying to, like, you get what I'm saying, though? You're a psychopath. If you think that it make more sense for you to take your cousin's dead body and put it in a dumpster, if you didn't kill her, you ain't had nothing to do with her dying. You thought it made most sense to take her dead body and put her dead body, your loved cousin's dead body, inside of a dumpster. You thought that made more sense than calling 911? You thought that would make you look less guilty than calling 911? You're fucking insane, bro. You're lying. That makes no sense.
Led detectives to the location where he claimed to have left Zion's body weeks before. There was no longer any sign of her there. The trash had long since been collected and compacted. Sierra Milton's world shattered when she learned what her nephew had done. He said that my baby just died, she recounted, her voice breaking, and then that he threw her in a dumpster.
Look at this nigga, bro. He looked like a weirdo, bro. It's nothing that you about to tell me. This nigga is weird,
she recounted, her voice breaking, and then that he threw her in a dumpster, like she was trash.
Yeah,
Jalen sat down for a follow-up interview the next day, January 20th. His story began to change.
Of course
now
it did.
He claimed they'd taken hallucinogens that night. The powerful substances must have caused her heart to stop, he suggested. This explanation was about as medically plausible as his previous assertion, which is to say, not at all. The detective saw an opening. Perhaps Jalen would use the drugs as an excuse for his actions, for whatever steps he took to end his younger cousin's life. Did you have like a freaking momentary, didn't know what you were doing moment? The detective pressed. The problem with those substances is when you're on them, you don't know what you're doing. Did you do something? But Jalen wouldn't bite. I was completely comfortable, he insisted. The detective failed to elicit a confession. Without this admission and without locating Zion's body, there wasn't enough evidence to proceed with a murder indictment.
Are you fucking crazy? Are you insane right now?
Jalen was placed under arrest anyway for one count of lying to police. His false statements had actively deceived investigators about Zion's whereabouts.
Any nigga in 2020 plus with a combed out afro with no taper is a fucking psychopath, bro. He's fucking crazy. This man got a picked out afro, no taper, in the back or the sides. He's insane. He's fucking crazy, bro.
Her health and safety, and his interaction with her. It wasn't murder, but it was something. The search for Zion Foster became one of the most extraordinary efforts in Detroit law enforcement history. Garbage collection trucks working in Highland Park were tracked to specified areas in local landfills. An estimated 8-week project was launched to sort through literally mountains of waste from all over the Detroit area,
looking through trash.
compiled over several weeks. Dozens of volunteers.
My question is, I'm gonna stop all. How in the flying fladoodle does a human body, a grown human body, inside of a dumpster end up on a landfill? Because they put it in a truck, right? So wouldn't the truck, they compress the trash? So if that's the case, wouldn't the truck compress the trash and be bleeding and blood, broken bones and shit? What up, fat boy?
So I got a question. How long should I wait here, bro? Because my appointment was at 11.
Mostly wearing masks and hazmat suits, assisted by heavy machinery picked through layer after layer of the landfill.
That's crazy, bro.
Methodically, looking for any sign of the 17-year-old girl someone had thrown away.
Bro.
We're doing what's right for the right
But y'all
reasons.
get what I'm saying, though? How does this grown human body end up in the trash and get compressed? Nobody sees blood. Nobody sees broken bones or hair or head. You know what I'm saying? How does that even happen?
And we're going to do everything we possibly can to bring some degree of closure. Will never be complete closure, but some degree of closure and justice to this family. Meanwhile, Jalen Brazier faced up to 4 years in prison for lying to police. The Detroit Police Department, assisted by the FBI, continued seeking a warrant for murder. At his sentencing for the lying charge, Jalen pled his case. 1. I did turn myself in. Yes, I lied. But I was not in the right state of mind. There was no way for me to prepare for a situation like that. I was scared. I don't know exactly how she passed, What caused her to pass? I just know 1 minute she was cool. She was fine. She laid back for a minute. Next thing I know, she was dead. The judge wasn't having it. You think she dies and then you dispose of her body?
Right.
Just like that? That was your choice? Jalen tried to explain his panic, his confusion, his fear, but the judge cut him off.
That don't make
Stop
no
it.
sense to me,
I
though.
won't have any conversation in this courtroom. Jalen Brazier was sentenced to 23 months in prison.
That's it. Oh, that's because they technically couldn't charge him with murder. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I don't think there's no, like I said earlier, bro, there's no logical way. I don't give a fuck what's going on, bro. If I didn't unalive this person, I am not transporting nobody's dead body nowhere. The only time that it makes sense is if you committed murder and you're trying to get away with the murder and hide it. So you're hiding the body, you're doing whatever. It makes no sense. Because, okay, put it like this. If she passed away from, let's say, a heart attack, God forbid, or a drug overdose, right? If you call the ambulance and the ambulance get there, it's your cousin. It's not like it's, you know what I'm saying? This is your blood cousin. You see your cousin all the time. Like it ain't like it's no weird shit or no weird stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if it's your blood cousin and your blood cousin overdose and you call the ambulance, and even if the ambulance get there and your blood cousin is already passed away, it's nothing that they can do. They can take her body to a medical examiner's office in a coroner, and then they can do an autopsy and they can tell that your cousin died from a drug overdose. And if your cousin died from a drug overdose, more times than not, you're not going to be charged with murder. But if you take her dead body to a dumpster and put it in the trash, everybody's going to think you killed her. So you trying to tell me that, you feel me, that, oh, I don't know what happened, woody woo, this, that, the third, it's weird vibes to me, bro.
While incarcerated,
to everybody,
Jalen's phone calls home to girlfriend Katrina and other family members were monitored closely. He occasionally used another inmate's calling code in a failed attempt to keep conversations private. He also possessed a prohibited cell phone, which he used to exchange thousands of messages with Katrina. Repeatedly, in his calls, Jalen would ask if anything major had happened. This seemed to be poorly concealed code. Was he asking whether the massive landfill search had found anything? Or anyone? The most logical and possible one right now, he told Katrina in one recorded call, is that there's nothing major. Nothing major is new. And due to that, there's a last effort to put together any types of anything. His relief was palpable. Keep your head up. Don't say nothing. Think about that for a moment. If Jalen's story was truthful, if Zion had died abruptly from some unknown and nonviolent cause, then there would be every reason for him to want her found.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. My point exactly.
Zion would exonerate him. The quicker the better. Wishing for her discovery should also be the sentiment of a loving cousin who
exactly. That's the next thing I was about to say. You should hope that they found her if you loved your cousin.
Peace of mind. Instead, over and over again, he expressed relief that no major developments had occurred in the search. As the final days of the landfill project approached, he began referring to it as a search for COVID. It was supposed to stop the COVID thing, he told Katrina cryptically, and it's not searching for COVID, so usually there's an update before that, but actually nothing. So don't worry about nothing. Jalen served just over 9 months before being granted early release through a special 90-day incarceration program, a boot camp designed like a military program where inmates convicted of certain crimes can better themselves and earn early release. It had been nearly a year. Zion had not been found. An indictment for murder had not been sought.
She probably ain't gonna be found at that point.
And now the prime suspect walked free, returning to his home and his family. Sierra Milton's anguished question echoed through the community. Why is this man free? What can I admit to this and still be let free? Jalen Brazier's freedom was short-lived. On June 13th, 2023, after a year-and-a-half investigation, the Detroit Police Department was finally granted a warrant for arrest. The 24-year-old would face charges of second-degree murder as well as tampering with evidence. Upon his arrest, 2 additional cell phones were seized. Despite the factory reset Jalen had performed on his device, investigators made a breakthrough. His search history had been held in cloud storage. On January 7th, 3 days after dumping his cousin's body in a dumpster, Jalen had performed a series of revealing Google searches. Are garbage trucks also crushers? What is the force of the machinery?
Wait a minute. How? When?
3 days after dumping his cousin's body in a dumpster.
3 days after he dumped his cousin body in the dumpster.
Jalen had performed a series of revealing Google searches. Are garbage trucks also crushers? What is the force of the machinery? How do police get your phone history? How do you know if police are watching you?
Why would you fucking search that up in a murder, in a potential murder case? Why would you search that up, my nigga? Now, if you search up, how long could I do in jail for a blunt? Oh, for that make, that's cool. Whatever, like it's sweet. Yeah, like a fuck. Yeah. How long do I have to do this and that, the third? All that shit is cool and great. But searching up something after somebody ended up dead and you put the body in the dumpster and you think it's smart to go on your phone and search.
That wasn't all. In the months before the incident, Jalen had performed numerous disturbingly suggestive searches for adult content involving taboo family dynamics. Experts retrieved the video results of these searches. Some were reportedly very violent, as well as disturbing in nature. The digital evidence...
Whoa, let's do an instant replay of what the fuck he just said.
Involving taboo had performed numerous disturbingly suggestive... That wasn't all. In the months before the incident... Jalen had performed numerous disturbingly suggestive searches for adult content involving taboo family dynamics. Experts retrieved the video results of these searches. Some were reportedly very violent, as well as disturbing in nature. The digital evidence painted a dark picture of a man who'd been fixating on his teenage cousin, then scrambling to cover his tracks when something went horribly wrong. As the case approached trial, a preliminary hearing offered insight into the defense strategy.
What it sound like to me?
Vertez Gonzalez testified that he believed his girlfriend was taking regular medication for epilepsy. Zion had told him she suffered seizures, he said. And without her medication, they became more frequent and severe.
Right.
He'd even witnessed what he thought might have been a seizure, Zion, becoming momentarily faint, slouching forward before regaining her composure after just a few seconds. The defense had found their angle. Perhaps Zion's medical condition led to her death suddenly in Jalen's living room. Maybe she'd had a seizure. There was just one problem with this theory. Sierra Milton, whose youngest child was in fact diagnosed with epilepsy, testified that Zion had never suffered a seizure. Hundreds of pages of medical records covering years of treatment supported Sierra's assertion. Nonetheless, Jalen Brazier's version of events was now being framed in this new light for the jury. The trial lasted 2 full weeks in May 2024. Jalen chose not to testify. The state called 32 witnesses. The defense called none. Prosecutors revealed evidence that shocked even seasoned courtroom observers. Zion's old cell phone safe at home because she'd gotten a new one contained months of correspondence between her and her favorite cousin. Over 4,000 distinct texts were retrieved. The messages Jalen sent ranged from subtle and unsettling to highly inappropriate. At times, they were romantic in nature. He routinely invited her to his home while his girlfriend was away. He offered to put her up in his basement if she...
You know what's crazy? I thought it was weird how he went and picked up his female cousin right after he dropped his girlfriend off. I thought that was weird. You know what I'm saying? You catching my drift though? Like that's weird. Like, and at 11, I'm not going to pick up my. I'm not going to pick up my female cousin 30 minutes after I drop my girlfriend off and kick it with her and drink and smoke with her by myself in my living room at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying, though? Like, that ain't the vibes, bro. Like, that ain't what's going on. Now, if my cousin want to come over with auntie and them, we go smoke in the backyard and tweak and kick it, and I can tell her how her boyfriend tweaking and all that. Cool. But I'm not kicking it with my female cousin or my female, none of that shit, smoking in the living room by herself, in the house by herself, after I just dropped my girlfriend off at work, who just so happened to work the midnight shift. So I dropped her off. I know she worked late, so I know she's there because I'm the one who picking her up and dropping her off. And I know she got to work late, so I know she can't come home. And now I'm going to go get my underage female cousin to come drink, smoke, and take hallucinogen drugs by myself with her in my living room at 12 o'clock at night.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stupid. Away. He advised her on how to evade police if she disappeared again. Wayne County Assistant Prosecutor.
And then they talking about they found freaky messages. Yeah, I'm sure.
Described the texts as pervasive, at times complimentary of her intelligence and looks, at other times probing in an immature way. Jalen suggested to Zion that other people thought they were a couple. He claimed Katrina was jealous of her. He bragged about how easily he could be with women. At one point, he called himself a god. Prosecutor Elsie concluded by telling the jury that the 23-year-old had been systematically manipulating his younger cousin for years, that he had fantasies about her, and that on January 4th, he acted on his impulses. This was the twisted motive that led to her death. Jurors heard about how Jalen learned that Katrina was pregnant with their third child on the day he brought Zion to his house. Messages between the couple showed how he'd lied to her about what he was doing after dropping her off at work. That night,
that's how you know
Katrina
it's some weird
felt
shit.
Ill, nausea.
Because why would you have to lie to your girlfriend about kicking it with your cousin?
She'd been to the emergency room earlier that day. Hours later at work, the symptoms resumed. She messaged repeatedly that she felt too sick to stay, asking him to pick her up. At 1 a.m., I think I need to come home. At 1:26, I don't feel good. Minutes later, my stomach hurts. I feel sick and keep getting hot and cold. Jalen's response?
Because she's pregnant.
You can make it, baby. He finally picked her up at nearly 3 a.m. When he did, she noticed something. A deep scratch across his collarbone, deep enough to draw blood. He told her the cat had scratched him. Odd, Katrina thought. The cat had never scratched that deep before. The case against Jalen was largely circumstantial.
You know, pets gonna scratch the surface. It's not really gonna be bleeding. It's gonna be like that real, like, that red scratch. I got dogs, bro. That red scratch, that's like, you can see it, but it ain't no blood, though. You can see it on your skin, but it's not bleeding. If somebody scratch you hard enough for you to bleed, that mean they was digging in you and trying to defend themselves, bro.
Though compelling, a forensic anthropologist who reviewed Zion's medical history determined that the only condition she suffered that could possibly have led to her death was asthma. But an asthma attack would present as the exact opposite of what Jalen described. Instead of quietly passing out with a heartbeat, Zion would have been struggling to breathe. It would have been very clear she was in distress. The prosecution's closing argument cut through the defense's theories like a knife. He brought her to his house late at night on January 4th, 2022. It's already weird. Behind the back of his pregnant girlfriend, who was at work at the time. And she leaves that house in the trunk of his car on a night where he has an unexplained gash on his collarbone. What do you think happened inside that house that night?
I think he tried to get freaky with her. She was like, what the fuck is going on? He tried to force himself on her. She tried to defend herself. Somehow, some way, he probably ended up choking her to death or something like that, and then put her body in the trunk and threw it in the dumpster. That's what I think happened. That's what I've been thought happened the whole fucking time. If you go back to the beginning of the video and you'll see, I think it's a video of like her walking in the door and he looking at her like it's a piece of ass. Like, that's how you look at a girl when like she come to your crib for the first time and you like, damn, she look decent as hell in person. You looking at her ass, you like, I'm finna try to get in that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't moving like, oh, this is my little cousin. I'm finna make sure she's straight. She's just spending the night tonight or whatever the case is. Like, you know?
She died of COVID. She died of a seizure. There's a claim that he did what he did because he was afraid of getting caught for illegal substances. Afraid of getting busted for drugs? You ever heard of somebody getting rid of a body to avoid a parking ticket?
No.
Sierra Milton and the rest of Zion's family waited as the jury went into deliberations. They returned in only 30 minutes. As to count 1, how do you find guilty? As to count 2, how do you find guilty? Jalen Brazier maintained his innocence at his sentencing hearing. Her death was not in any way violent. She wasn't hurt at all, he insisted, still clinging to his story. Before announcing his decision, Judge Donald Knapp outlined the convict's failure to accept responsibility for the murder, for disposing of Zion's body, for lying to police, for causing delays in the investigation, for leaving his 2 young children alone in the house while he disposed of evidence.
No, that's
for
crazy.
Manipulating and lying to family.
Yeah, you know for a fact he did some weird shit. Because you're not going to leave. They said he had a 1 and a 2-year-old. You're not leaving your 1 and 2-year-old in the house nowhere by themselves because your cousin had a seizure or because your cousin overdosed. You gotta cut it out, bro. You're a weirdo.
Judge Knapp concluded that he will ever be rehabilitated. Jalen Brazier was sentenced to 30 to 90 years in prison for the murder and another 5 to 10 years for tampering with evidence. These terms would be served consecutively.
Consecutive.
Sierra Milton's body trembled as the sentence was read.
That means they not ran concurrent. That means he got to do the 30 whatever years. Then he got to do another 10. He got to do both. He got to serve both. So in total, he got to do like 40 to 90 years basically. You know what I'm saying? Because if they say they run it concurrent, if they give you 5 years for this and 10 years for this, if they run it concurrent, you would just have to do the 5 years. You see what I'm saying? Or if they give you 5 years and 3 years, you just have to do 5 years. They ran it at the same time. You doing both sentences at the same time. If you get 10 years over here and 20 years over here, and you got to run both, that means you got 30 years. You see what I'm saying?
It was read. It was just so matter of fact. I'm so happy they saw she was loved. She is loved. She was fought for. And this is the result. This is justice. Then she addressed Jalen directly.
They bogus as hell.
You thought you were smart. You tried to be slick.
Yeah.
The people saw you for what you are. And I hope you never get out. Zion Foster's body has never been recovered.
Damn.
Over 70 volunteers and law enforcement officials searched the landfill for nearly 6 months before finally admitting defeat. Somewhere in that massive expanse of waste and refuse, a 17-year-old girl with her whole life ahead of her remains lost. As of this writing, Jalen Brazier remains at an intake facility in Wayne County, awaiting his placement in a general population prison. He'll be eligible for parole when he's in his 50s. Given the consecutive nature of his sentences and Judge Knapp's assessment of his rehabilitation prospects, he may never see freedom again. This case serves as a chilling reminder that danger doesn't always come from strangers lurking in shadows. Sometimes it wears a familiar face. Sometimes it calls itself family. Sometimes the person you trust most is the one who means you the greatest harm. Zion.
So that's why you ain't gonna lie, bro. You gotta watch them family members, bro. People be weird, gang. I know nobody ever want to think like, oh, somebody in my family could secretly be a weirdo, but nigga, everybody think that. You never know for real, gang. On bro grave, like you really never know. You feel me? You will never know, man. Rest in peace to the girl. That shit fucked up. It sounds just like the David situation to me. So hopefully the David situation end up how this situation ended up, and that nigga ass get 30, 40, 50 years.